What probably slightly annoyed prehistoric humans? Fleas and lice were a constant back then, but I can't imagine ever really getting used to them. I wonder if they had an idea that shaving their hair would help with the lice. Like, without that hair to latch onto, it would be easier to spot, pick off. Apparently ancient Egyptian men and women often shaved so they could boil their wig instead of being forced to fight bugs in their hair. The Egyptians shaved all their hair, every damn follicle. How do you think ancient Egyptians dealt with razor bumps and rashes? They most likely used some kind of emollient. As far as I know, they had access to olive oil and it was used in skin creams. Yeah, but you just know all those Egyptians selling skin creams and oils inevitably turned into one big pyramid scheme. When the wind turns at the wrong moment during a hunt. Persistence hunting was a method of hunting used. They would go after the animal until it was too tired to continue running. For anybody who doesn't know, while we may be slow runners, our legs are very efficient, and allow a fit and trained person to run for hours. We are second only to sled dogs in terms of endurance running. So we could continuously track an animal until it physically can't run from us anymore. Imagine that nightmare for the animal. You run from scary humans. Think you're safe, so you start crap their back. Gotta run some more. Plus humans are creepy as peep, walking on two legs, no fur, making peeped up noises to each other. You think you are safe, then they start throwing speep at you until you fall into a hole they dug 10 hours earlier. To other animals, humans must sound like loud giants shouting completely foreign languages. Think someone speaking a language but all you hear are the hard-spoken syllables among mumbling. Going to your favorite fruit tree or berry bush and finding someone else has already picked it clean. Legit. Same with a mushroom patch. Don't you dare picking on my bush. Username checks out. All these young people growing their own food and raising animals. I heard that Oak's boys stopped traveling altogether, just living in one place. It's making man weak. Greece historians thought books would make society stupid because no one would have to remember anything anymore. Read some of complaints about magazines when they came out. People don't talk anymore. They don't even look up from their magazines to talk to their friends. Society is in shambles. Having to poop outside the cave when it was raining. They pooped in the caves, usually away from habitation areas. Archaeologists get really excited to find coprolites. They can teach us a lot about diet and health. Biting the inside of their mouth while chewing. I'm sure this is still a common occurrence in rave clubs today. Mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are the primary vector for malaria, a disease which by some estimates may have killed something like half of all humans who ever lived. So they're more than a slight nuisance. But without understanding why they were getting sick and dying, you're right in that prehistoric humans probably didn't realize how annoyed they really should have been by mosquitoes. Plus they were itchy as peep. Mosquitoes actually stop itching if you get stung enough. Won't even leave much of a mark. At least here in Northern Europe. Jungle mosquitoes are probably much worse. Supposedly, a common ritual of the Sami people of northern Norway, which has a speep ton of mosquitoes, is to get stupid drunk and go to sleep naked in the wilderness. After that you're immunized. For me, who spend a lot of time in the wilderness, I can confirm it's worse at the beginning of every season. At the end I barely notice anything. There's no way this is true. Source: I've been bitten thousands of times and it still sucks every time. I think they mean during one consecutive season. Anecdotal, I know, but this season the mosquitoes were far not numerous, and by the end of the a bite on my skin would resolve within a few days as opposed to a full week. Wouldn't even welt as much. Accidentally chipping a bit too hard when you're finishing up a spearhead and ruining it. When you leave Grog to watch the fire and he falls asleep and lets it go out, and you have to start it all over again. Being called a Neanderthal peeper when we all know there is nothing wrong with that actually. Fun fact, all human beings who have roots outside of sub-Saharan Africa have some Neanderthal DNA. That doesn't make them Neanderthal peepers though. Just means somewhere along the line they were descended from a Neanderthal peeper. Geez, your grandfather peeps one Neanderthal and your family can't live it down for 200 years. Right? And we might as well throw Denisovan, the red deer people, and a few other archaic hominins in there as well. Love is love, people. In the 60s BC, I made love to many women, often outdoors, in the mud and the rain, and it's possible a Denisovan slipped in. There would be no way of knowing. Well, nobody likes a stub toe. When you wake up in the morning and you roll out of your pile of leaves and hay and your feet touch the freezing cold rock cave floor. First world problems. When the girl you have a crush on goes for the literal Neanderthal. Today I learned Neanderthals were ancient Chads. I'm waiting for Virgin Homo sapiens vs Chad Neanderthal meme. Standing in Mammoth's Peep. Lamau hunting with spear slowly creeping around at dusk/dawn and take one wrong step squish splat right up between your toes, and the wearer scores is 1/4 mile away haha. The courting for your favorite bead shell necklace breaking. Someone mistaking your favorite pointed stick for the fire stirrer. Your kid running off with that really nice sharp rock and losing it in the river. A peepin' cave bear coming up on the deer you just downed. All that work and that peeper's gonna take the fruit of the labor. The kid putting a bad berry in their mouth and getting sick after you told them not to eat those berries. The local village idiot who does inexplicable speep like trying to make all the round things flat just because he had a vision telling him to do it. You don't know how many jars you've lost to that peepwit, and now you've got some bird's eggs that'll go great with the moose jerky, and that asshole is eyeing your find. And because there's no sense in making only a small amount of cordage for your necklace, you have to start working on a large, which you need to go and forge materials. That would have needed to be worked until you could use them. Forget it, you didn't need that necklace anyway. Periods with no proper pads, tampons or painkillers available. Childbirth probably sucked. You'd be lucky if the mother survived, and incredibly lucky if the child did. Even today maternal and infant mortality rates are still quite a worry. Having to eat bloated ticks off their friend who fell asleep in tall grass after having 10 too many fermented crab apples. They didn't have air conditioning, so I bet their balls got stuck to their legs constantly. I thought for a second that you said hair conditioner, and I was concerned for a moment, like, do men really use conditioner on their balls? Time travelers taking pictures or videos and taking souvenirs. Getting something stuck in their teeth. Slowly weighting down a twig into a pick with a stone flake, only to have the tip of the pick break off. Now grog have to make pick again and two things stuck in teeth. Those bloody beaker kids and their fancy bronze they keep going on about. They should try hunting and gathering for a change. That's real work, lad. All those damn stone tablets they keep finding everywhere advertising someone wants to talk to them about their extended warranties. Asking your husband to fetch berries for once because you're pregnant, and waking up the next day with twice the morning's sickness because he didn't know the bad ones. Bugs. Like flies, gnats, mosquitoes. No bug spray. No window screens. No deterrent. I'm thinking about my girlfriend whose legs are constantly covered in bites after like an hour outside with bug spray on. More than a slight annoyance. What the heck did the women do when they got a yeast infection? Those are horrific without prescription diflucan. You can't even walk if you have a bad one. They probably knew some herbal remedies, or at least some general soothing plant paste. But see, the Iceman who died in the Alps 5,000 years ago carried herbs that have a chemical effective against intestinal parasites. He had a case of worms that he was trying to treat, but he was killed by an arrow in the back first, so we'll never find out if it was going to work for him. The medicine found on him was also found in his intestines, so there is a good chance it did. Not to mention he possibly had Lyme disease, arthritis, tooth decay, and was lactose intolerant, to name a few things wrong with him. There was a good chance he was living with some type of pain before he died, and thus knew of herbal remedies to relieve said pain. And that is without going into the tattoos he had across the affected joints, which seemed to be a more alternative method of healing. Weren't most people lactose intolerant before widespread agriculture? I believe that even today, many areas of the world have predominantly lactose intolerant populations. We're the only species that can have milk in adulthood.